As promised, we have the Broken Podcast. We're not talking about broken cards. I guess maybe we are, but we're going to do something a little bit different. We're celebrating the balance changes that come like 2 times a year now here in the game. And I have a podcast talking a week later after the changes went into the game, talking about what happened to all of these cards reacting after we had a chance to play them out, after, you know, top ladder players, pro players, and just everybody, you know, in terms of the win and the use rates, have had a chance to try these cards out. So I'm not alone. I am joined by Clash of Shane. Shane, what's up, bro?
Yo, I'm doing pretty good, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Me too. I can't wait to hear your opinions. And we have Jax. Jax, what's up, dude?
Not much, man. How are you?
I am fantastic, guys. Let's just jump right into it here. We all had kind of our hunches, and then we've seen what's happened, you know, with these cards in the arena. So let's start with the Tesla. Tesla got its lifespan changed by 5 seconds shorter. You guys think Tesla is still good or not so much?
I definitely think Tesla is still going to be viable. I think what we're seeing right now, we're only a week into this new balances, so everyone right now is using the hot new card, Bomb Tower, because it was buffed, obviously. But I don't think Tesla is going anywhere. It's still going to find a place in certain strategies. It just won't be used in every single deck like it was beforehand.
Jax?
I think it's still going to be good as well. It didn't really lose its ability to kill the push. You just lost its ability to place it 10 seconds before the push reaches you and then have it kill everything.
I was going to make that same point. You can't like pre-place that Tesla and be like, checkmate, what's up?
Yeah.
You know? We all agree on Tesla. Tesla's still very good. Actually, I think it was a good nerf, right? Because it's still a very good card, but it's not, you know, as oppressive as it was. What about Bomb Tower? That got a 5-second increase. I have my own thoughts about Bomb Tower, but what do you guys think?
I think it's twofold here. Number one is that the Royal Hogs were bought, so now everyone and their uncle is using Royal Hogs. So naturally, people want to use Bomb Tower, but also because it was buffed, it's kind of like the hot card right now as well. But I do think it's strong. It was strong beforehand, before it was nerfed a few months ago, or like 6 months ago, something like that. But I think it's definitely gonna be good. It's gonna be the best defense in the meta right now, for sure.
Wow, Jax?
I think they finally are getting closer, if not have already found its sweet spot. As you can, like, every time they've changed it, it's ping-ponged from being like super broken to really bad, to super broken to really bad. And I think with the Death Bomb not absolutely nuking a push, but also having the lifetime, I think it's in just the right spot, especially since Hogs got buffed.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys again here. We're going to agree on everything. Yeah, let's just make up some disagreements here from time to time, all right, fellas? Come on.
It's coming. It's coming.
Remember the lesson or the instructions before we hit record. You're supposed to yell at each other. I'm just joking. So I agree on the Bomb Tower. I think that we're going to see even more use rates, to Shane's point, because I think we're going to see way more Royal Hogs as time goes by, and I think that the Bomb Tower is going to become even more meta, but I don't think it's, you know, super strong. I think it's a good answer to the meta right now. So let's go on to the next card. What do we think about guards, fellas?
Guards is a tough one because it's like the damage increase is really noticeable, but there's such a risky card to use because arrows just kills them, poison kills them so quickly that I don't know if it's the risk versus reward is quite there yet for the card.
Ooh, okay. So Shane's a little bit on the fence there, pretty negative. Jax, what about you?
He kind of just stole my words. I mean, you can tell that they're doing so much more damage now, and they're able to change a lot of interactions, but one arrows, and it doesn't matter how much damage they're doing, they're gone. So it's, like I said, like Shane said, excuse me, they're really risky.
Yeah, I think that guards, actually a 12% damage buff is really, really big. They do a lot of damage. I'm seeing them a lot in the arena. Are you guys seeing a lot of guards?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a few different decks right now that are actually rocking guards as like the best card in that version. But I don't know. It's just tough, man. It's tough to use them reliably because of the matchups.
I was just trying to play devil's advocate because I'm seeing them a lot more, but that doesn't mean I think they're super strong, because for me, if this was in a vacuum, guards get 12% more damage and they didn't touch poison, yeah, cool. That's awesome. You know, if Fireball was meta and, you know, Mother Witch was everywhere, that'd be great. But with poison on top of it, and to your point, arrows, I still don't think guards are quite there to be meta. That's not to say that they're not going to be a solid option in some decks, but maybe we're wrong.
Here's the question with guards, though, is how do you buff guards in a way that doesn't make them broken?
Right.
Because if they don't die to arrows, then they're going to be busted. So, like, where's that balance point on the guards? It's definitely a tough card.
Yeah, Jackson, any ideas, man?
I've tried to think about this because I'm pretty sure one of us brought this up on the last Broken podcast.
Yes.
But there's just no way to make the card truly viable without making it survive arrows. But once you make it survive arrows, it's kind of busted because It has the shield, and they're completely spell resistant with a ton of damage, even if you nerf back or if you revert this last buff. Like, they're in a really difficult spot to change.
You know what? I think that now that they said that the DPS of the guards is on par with Dark Goblin now, which is pretty high DPS. But I think that that's the answer. I think that's the obvious answer. Right? The only thing you can touch is their DPS. Maybe, you know, how they spawn, make them a little bit more spread out. But you can't, you know, make them spread out further than arrows to have a guard at one tower and another tower.
Like, just random idea here. What if the guard spawned similar to like the Royal Recruits, where it was like 3 horizontal instead of like the triangle formation? Would that be a huge difference or no?
It would. I mean, I think it would be a huge difference. But wouldn't it be like essentially Royal Recruits mini? I guess mini P.E.K.K.A is a mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, I think it's okay to have, like, because it's a 3 elixir cost, so it's very different. But I don't know, just a random thought.
What do you think, Jax? Would you use guards in your bridge spam decks if they were spread out 3 wide along the entire arena?
Probably not, because that kind of function I would only use to pull both lanes. But they can already do that if I wait to the right moment. It's difficult to tell with them. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult.
P.E.K.K.A's hit.
Yeah.
Like a 900 damage hit, I would use them. That'd be fun.
There you go. All right, next card is the card that people a lot of talk about, Night Witch. What do we think about Night Witch, fellas?
Oof. Can we just all collectively celebrate a moment here for the Night Witch being dead? I mean, she's pretty bad right now. It's tough to say because we tend to overreact to these changes, especially like 1 week in.
Especially stupid YouTubers. YouTubers. They always
exactly. But like typically like after like a month or so, people will go back and be like, you know what, Night Witch actually isn't that bad. We're gonna start using her again. Yeah. But I feel like from 1 week in so far, it's just such a drastic difference that you almost have to relearn how to use the card, because no Night Witch or no Death Bats is so significant. So much easier to counter too, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I think she is completely and fully gone. Like,
Whoa.
The only reason she was good was because your opponent could spend 6 elixir on their spells, kill her, and then she'll have 6 death bats going around and running rampant. Now, poison, snowball, fireball, log, all of those combos kill her. They kill her bats that she spawned. She has no death bats, and that is the weirdest thing I've seen in a while, that she has no death bats. But those death bats being gone, I don't see her being used like at all.
Yeah, poor Night Witch, man. Not very legendary anymore. She went from being frustratingly good, and now she's frustratingly bad. I kind of agree with Jax
Here's
there.
The question,
I don't know.
Jax.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Night Witch, even though she's dead, is it better for the overall game to have her not have the death bats? Because I always felt like the death bats was like a super like rock paper scissors mechanic, because it's like if you had fireball, you just lose, or if you have like log in your deck and no zap, you just lose. But if you have like snowball or zap, then you have an answer for the bats afterwards, and it's more fair. So is it better overall for the health of the game to not have those death bats?
Yeah, because there's almost no cards in the game that can go and kill her behind a golem push, and then also get rid of her death bats. Like, the only thing I can see happening is like fireball, log, e-spirit, and even then you have to make sure you hit the golem, and hopefully you get another support troop behind. And like, poison was completely gone the past couple of months due to just how good fireball was and how much fireball bait. And so now that poison's back too, even if there were death bats, you'd still, like, poison log doesn't kill her death bats. You have to make sure you kill her immediately and hit the death bats and whatever the spell you're using, because like you have to get rid of those death bats. They're the worst part of her.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta say, the first time I faced the Night Witch after the balances, I was like, the sigh of relief after like I fireballed her and she's dead. I'm like, wait a minute, there's no bats. It's so much easier, and it was so nice, you know.
I faced this guy. Golem first played me, and I killed his Night Witch, and there were no bats. I would have lost if he had the death bats, but I killed the Night Witch and there were no death bats, and I ended up 3 crowning him right after. That was awesome.
Dude, poor golem players are all like, what the heck did you do? But I don't know. I'm gonna be the most unpopular guy in the world, a role that I'm very used to. I don't love it. I don't love that they killed the legendary card, you know? Like, I don't love when they go heavy-handed on nerfs, despite how annoying she was to go against. So now we're in the awkward position of, in 3 or 4 months, everybody's going to be like, worst legendary, dead card, she needs a buff. She deserves a buff, I think, you know? And I don't know. I don't like when they yo-yo like that. But anyway, let's move on to Mother Witch, guys. HP minus 4%. She can now die to arrows plus log for a -1 elixir trade, but it frees up your fireballs. What do you guys think of the Mother Witch?
I think she's still very much a viable card. Very, very strong in the meta. Just the mechanic of being able to spawn like infinite pigs. It's not a huge drastic change, which obviously is good because you don't want to just kill a card outright. It just, what it does, it just gives you a little bit more answers to deal with her. If you don't have Fireball in your deck, then you have a bit more options there. So that's kind of cool. But she's still going to be a top meta card for sure. At least I think so.
Mr. Jax?
I'm in favor of the change. It might not be enough though, like Shane said. You do have some more options. So decks like Giant Graveyard with arrows and Snowball, and like Lava Hound with arrows and Zap will finally be able to take her out, and she won't just completely annihilate them. However, Poison is now back, and Poison doesn't do a very good job at countering her, but Poison also counters the Graveyard. So there's kind of like this weird like give and take effect going on with the Mother Witch. I think it's a little bit too early for me to personally tell how good she will be. However, I do expect her to definitely have a spot in the meta. The 4% HP nerf, I just don't see it being that big of a deal, especially because she can turn the entire push into a pig.
I agree with you both as well. I think she'll still be solid, but I don't think she needs any further of a nerf, personally. I think that we kind of learned how to counter Mother Witch over the 4 months that it took them to nerf her, right? Or more than that, you know? So I think that this is fine, personally, but I am curious, guys, before we move on to the next card, how does the Poison, which the next card is Poison anyway, so I guess moving into Poison, but still staying on Mother Witch in a way, how does Poison, Mother Witch, and all of these cards impact Graveyard as a win condition? Jax.
I mean, I think Graveyard was still used as a win condition even when like Fireball was meta and Mother Witch was meta. You just adapted. Everyone just used like Graveyard Fireball or Graveyard Freeze instead of Poison. I think Graveyard's still going to be like a really good win condition in this meta because Poison is back, and what Poison does is it does kill the knight. Like if your opponent has Mother Witch, you can poison her, and it will take a while to destroy her, but it also slows down and destroys all the piggies that she spawns out afterwards, so you don't have a big counter push to deal with at the end. So even though it's not quite as immediate as the Fireball was, I still think Graveyard's going to be a really strong win condition in the current meta, especially with things like Bomb Tower being buffed.
I agree for sure, especially if they start using the Bomb Tower again, they're going to just have splash on splash on splash, and Graveyard Poison. If you attack with a Graveyard Poison on the counter push into a Mother Witch, it's honestly not the worst thing in the world, because the support units will distract the tower and all that, and they'll be able to go and kill those piggies. Your Graveyard is still going to get some damage. The Mother Witch is going to die, and you still have Bomb Tower and another Baby Dragon potentially to take care of the pigs. Just from personal experience lately, like Mother Witch is not the hard counter that everybody makes it out to be against Graveyard, because the Graveyard players just make sure they're not overcommitting into her. The opponent has already committed into them, and then they just fireball her or spell her away, and it's like...
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with that 100%. Like, I used a Mother Witch deck, like, the first day after the balances went live, and I went against Graveyard. I got, like, 30 pigs down. I was like, oh, man, this is awesome. My opponent uses one bomb tower, and the pigs have such low health that, like, each bomb destroys the entire pig army, and I was like, well... that was my hope of coming back right there. So it's not quite as like busted as you think.
No, I think that, you know, Graveyard actually being able to utilize Poison probably helps it more than having more Poison in the meta hurts it, you know, because now they can add like I've seen Graveyard Goblin Hut kind of come back too, just basically bait out Poison cards inside the deck. What about Poison in general, guys? Do you think that it is really strong right now? It has the 15% negative movement speed now on troops on top of the damage.
For sure. I think Poison's going to be just as viable, if not better than Fireball right now. Because now you can use things like Poison against Balloon. I think I was on Reddit where it's like you poison a balloon and snowball it or something like that, and it completely counters the balloon. Or just even Poison by itself because the slow speed.
You can fully counter with Poison. Just
it's insane. I think that Poison was incredibly broken in Shanghai tournament and whenever it was, I think January of 2017, and they removed the movement speed. I never, ever, ever thought they would add it back to the game. And even in like my balance change announcement video, I speculated that it would be OP, and I really think it's going to be that slow. Something about it just has, I mean, it's obviously doing more damage because the troops are staying in the poison. But even slowing the troops in general, I don't know, man. It can make some very, very interesting interactions on the offensive side of the arena. I think that poison is maybe, I'm surprised they did it. I'm surprised they add the slow, but it definitely made it viable again. Jax, is it too strong? Oh, Shane, yeah, go.
I would just say my question here is I forget what the slow percentage was back in the day, like 2 years ago.
That's a good point.
Was it 15% slow or was it higher? Because it only slows by 15%. I know Earthquake is a 50%, I believe, movement speed slow. Poison's only 15%. So I don't know if it's quite as strong as it once was. Maybe it is. My memory in my old age is not as good, but you know, it's up for debate for it right now.
I think it is going to be very good, probably marginally better. And honestly, I play the poison a lot in the past couple days, since it like fits with my decks much better than Fireball did, and Fireball was just like you have to use it. And I don't see the movement speed too much. However, with like an Ice Wizard, if the poison was like with the Ice Wizard that survived a Fireball and the poison could also slow things down, I would say it would be way too broken because it would just lead to incredibly slow, frustrating gameplay where your troops just walk over the bridge and get like funneled into their doom because of how slow everything is moving. But since the Ice Wizard is dead and the pigs are OP, I think that it's going to create like this nice little. You have to use Fireball in some situations, so poison can't be everywhere. But you also have to use poison in some situations, so Fireball can't be everywhere and Ice Wizard can't be everywhere. And I don't think it's going to be too incredibly overpowered. It might be a little strong with that slowdown though.
Okay, that's a good take. I agree with you guys as well. Well, I guess I err on it being a little bit stronger than you think, but at the end of the day, I did some research. It looks like the original slow was 20%, but that was back in 2016 when they did not share these sort of numbers with us, so it was never public information, right? But either way, it's very close to the old poison.
Did poison slow the attack speed as well as movement speed back in the day, or was it just movement speed?
It says attack and movement back in the day. So it's very hard to compare, though. I was even watching old footage, and it's very difficult to compare new point. It's not that noticeable, but then when we're talking with, you know, whatever, these microseconds here, of course, it's going to be difficult to notice. But it does feel very strong to me, just playing it. Do you guys agree overall?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Electro Giant. HP minus 4%. I mean, this one could be pretty quick, I think. I think it was incredibly weak nerf. I don't think it did really anything. I think it was all about the damage he does on tower and not necessarily his HP being a huge factor, where 4% nerf really changes things. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think it's still going to be a good book condition for sure. But the thing is, it's like E-Giant's a tricky card because whenever you use an E-Giant deck, you just get like you face like Tesla, Goblin Drill Cycles or whatever, and you can never get the E-Giant to the tower because it's infinite distraction because the E-Giant has the longest sight distance or pull distance of any card in the game. So you can pull it to the opposite lane with just a Tesla. So
are you advocating for an E-Giant buff?
No,
Shane?
no. I'm just saying that like I don't think the E-Giant is as busted as everyone makes it seem. However, with that being said, I completely lose my mind when an E-Giant at 10% health gets to my tower and does 3,000 damage to it at 10% health, and I'm just like, this card is broken. But when I'm using like a Tesla in my deck, I pull it to the opposite lane, and I'm like, haha, you know? So
Okay. That's a fair take. Jax, what about you? You think he's still just as good, or for the most part?
I don't think they really address the problem with him, which is what Shane was talking about. If you have a building, you almost instantly beat him. If you have no building, you almost instantly lose to him. He's still going to be insanely matchup dependent, and he's still going to completely shred the decks he's shredded. He's just going to be a little bit worse against everything, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. I think the E-Giant might just see a little dip in hit point or use rate because everybody's like, oh, he just lost some HP, I'm not going to use him anymore. But I think he'll still be pretty good.
Yeah, try not to overreact to any balance changes, guys, you know, for the most part.
One interesting thing that I noticed about the Electro Giant is, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like not a whole lot of people like used it for their end of season push last season. Like, I feel like most players used a more reliable strategy that had like Tesla Cycle, for example, or something like that had better matchups. Whereas E-Giant, it's like you're just playing a matchup game, kind of just hoping for the best kind of thing.
And that's why he's so frustrating. That's why he's a frustrating card, because, I mean, you guys already made the point. I won't belabor it. But yeah, if you have a building, great. If not, let's see you later. All right. So next is Bomber, guys. What do you think about the little fella? 0.5 tile radius decrease on the Bomber. I think he's still good for 2 elixir. What about you guys?
Yeah, 100%. He's still like one of the most elixir efficient cards in the entire game. 2 elixir, destroys anything, massive damage, big splash radius. Yeah, he's still going to be very strong.
Jax, what do you think?
I completely agree with that. The big thing that was making him broken. I'm glad they nerfed this card. Honestly, it wasn't extremely talked about, but it was mentioned, and I'm glad they did nerf it because it is oppressive. But I still think, yeah, like Shane said, it's really, really elixir efficient. So I don't really see it taking too much of a dip in use rates.
Do you think Bomber should die to log? Because I think one of the issues with Bomber right now is everyone last season was running Fireball Arrows decks because of Bomber. Like, you had to have Fireball in your deck and Arrows because of the Bomber. But it's a 2 elixir card, so even if you do Arrows it, you're down 1 elixir. Now you don't have arrows for anything else. So should it die to log to make it, I guess, more matched up or less matchup dependent? If that makes sense.
I think so.
So Jax thinks so. Shane, what do you think?
I think it should dialogue. I don't
All
think
right.
it'll kill the card, but I don't think it'll be as like you could use a bomber in like a golem deck, for example, and just completely deny the opposite lane for 2 elixir. So I
Right.
think like I don't know. Dying to log is my suggestion for nerfing that card if they do want to nerf it further.
Okay, I want to see where this heads to the minus a half a tile before I say dialogue. Hunter. Now this is a card. He got half of his nerf back, I guess. Plus 0.2 seconds on his first attack, and I see Hunter everywhere now. What do you guys
Yeah.
think? I think that I think that people maybe overreacted a little bit to the nerf. People were saying he's totally dead, but either way, I mean, people are definitely trying him out. I see him all over the place. What do you guys think? I think he's definitely viable, to say the least.
I'll let Jax go first in this one. I've been hogging the spotlight here.
Yeah, I like this buff a lot. I think he's one of the more healthy ranged support units. He's not gonna snipe everything from super far away, and you have to get really close to him for deal maximum value, but he can still do stuff from far away. And I think I disagree with Ash on the fact that people were overreacted. Him having such a slow hit speed, like you could have like just a few troops and kill him before he even gets a shot off, when he could completely destroy everything getting that shot off. And I think he's just a healthy card to have in the meta at this power range. I'm very happy with his buff.
Editor,
Sorry, go
cut
ahead.
out the part where he disagreed with me. Cut out that part. That's not allowed here on the channel. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so either way, he's good now, right? We agree?
Yeah, very good
Okay.
right now.
All right,
Not as
next
OP as it
up.
was.
Next up, Fire Spirit, the little fella. He had his time in the sun. Now is he out, or is he still okay with the damage radius nerf?
He's still good. He's still good.
He's still
Here's
good.
the thing. Here's the thing with the Fire Spirit. For 1 elixir, you deal more damage to a tower than a Fireball would do. So in cycle decks, having that Fire Spirit in there to get chip cycle over time to a tower is
Yeah,
huge.
yeah.
And that was one of the largest reasons why like a lot of those Goblin Drill cycle decks were so OP, because they would go Goblin Drill to your tower, Fire Spirit always hits your tower. That's like Fireball with damage to your tower, and just over time, that's how they chip you down.
Easy.
And I also saw a post, I think it was on Reddit, where you can still use the Goblin or the Fire Spirit to counter a Goblin Drill if you use a secondary card to push back one of the Goblins. It'll actually destroy the entire Goblin Drill still with the radius reduction. It's absurd.
Yeah, for 1 elixir, you can't go wrong, right? With that damage. I
Yeah.
love the point that you made where you can just cycle him at the bridge. A 1 elixir threat that can do fireball damage, man. That's pretty insane.
I think this nerf was literally just to make sure that he isn't single-handedly keeping all log bait in Goblin Barrel decks fully dead. For 1 elixir, can't go wrong. So much splash damage, so much damage, kiting potential, like an offensive threat. You gotta stop it, or else it's gonna do like 300 damage to your tower, like Shane said. I think those spirits are really balanced right now. They all have very big upsides, and they all have their downsides as well. And I'm happy with where it is, as long as it's not like, as long as we don't find some crazy interaction where it just goes, it gets way too much value. I think it's in a really good spot right now. I agree with where it is.
Okay, Tombstone, 1 extra skeleton when destroyed. Is this a big difference maker?
One more
Because
skeleton.
because to me, it's I'm not saying it's always irrelevant how many skeletons it spawns, but I mean, either you're stopping and doing something with the skeletons or you're not, right? Like, is this going to change that much? I don't think it makes the card incredibly viable. However, I do see a lot of players trying it out again. What do you guys think?
I don't think we'll see a huge difference. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Like people that, if you deal with Tombstone, you always had an answer for the skeletons afterwards anyways. Like you had a zap ready to go
Or log,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't think it'll make a huge difference. It's just
1 skeleton. That's all,
One more
Supercell?
skeleton.
1 little skeleton? Jax, tell us why we're wrong.
You are not wrong.
Okay.
That spawn is like wholly irrelevant.
Yeah, man, 1 skeleton. Oh, wow, 1 skeleton.
They should just make it like randomly spawn a skeleton army on death, and then we'll talk.
But like, right? What if it was just like you weren't able, maybe it's a delay or something else, but you weren't able to just log at the right time and kill the skeletons upon the Tombstone death,
That'd be busted. I think
Yeah.
that'd be busted.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. How do you
the
make it
death
viable
spawn-
then? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the death spawn is literally just, well, I'm gonna earthquake and that takes it out. I'm gonna poison that takes it out. I'm gonna zap and that takes it out. I'm gonna log and that takes it out. I'm gonna do anything with a spell that'll take it out.
Yeah.
One more skeleton. Ooh, that's a little bit more elixir when it pops. Like I see one more splotch on there. Like it's not really gonna
Hey,
do
to be honest, I don't
anything.
think Tombstone needs to be a big buff into the meta. Like it works in a few niche decks, and that's like okay. Like you don't need to have every building in the entire game work in every deck.
I also think when broken, Tombstone would be one of the most annoying cards out there because most of the reason of spawners, other than like, well, like half the reason of spawners is to just clog up the lane and prevent their troops from just moving through and doing whatever. For 3 elixir, that constant spawn that can slow down like anything to a crawl, I think that would be really annoying if it was better. And I think it's just gonna have to be niche. I don't really want it to get buffed too much,
Yeah.
especially when there are other buildings you can use.
That's a good point because think about it. Whenever a building is even borderline oppressive, it's the most annoying card of the game for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, oh,
Yep.
furnace, I hate a furnace. You know, like
Yep.
every spawner, no matter what it is, gets very annoying. So I agree with you guys that it's okay being a niche whatever card. I do think that the fact that they added one Larry to this death spawn was kind of comical. Royal Giant, first attack, a little bit slower. What do you think about Royal Giant? This is a very interesting one. I'm very curious to hear your guys' take on it.
I have not played against or with the Royal Giant since the reset, really. Almost everything else I've seen, but not much of the Royal Giant. I think targeting him instead of his support troops this time was the right move. He's been a top card, and the Royal Giant has been a top consistent deck for the last like year and a half. Um, and I kind of like the first hit speed nerf in his case. Sometimes, like with the Hunter, it just kills the card. But with the Royal Giant, I just feel like it's pretty healthy. I feel like that was just an appropriate nerf. He's a little bit too overpowered, and I'm not sure if he's gonna get too much change past what is healthy with that hit speed nerf. So I think he'll be okay, but I need to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the Royal Giant can still be viable. It was such a strong condition beforehand. It just won't be like top tier. It won't be like S tier anymore. Maybe A plus tier instead of S tier. But I think with the buff to the Hunter, which typically does very well in a Royal Giant deck, I think Royal Giant will still be viable on ladder for sure.
Yeah, I actually I have to be fair here and say that I don't play Royal Giant, but I played against him a few times, and just my first kind of honest reaction was, boy, he's taking a step down, like a significant step down. And again, primarily because of the reason that you mentioned, Shane, with Hunter, right? Another card, even guards, if people do play guards a lot with that much DPS, like they can hold the Royal Giant down to one hit, you know? I feel like, I don't know, it might not be the Royal Giant meta as it's been for the last 3, 4, or 5
Yeah.
months, but I could be overreacting just based on what I've experienced too. So we'll see.
I don't think it's an overreaction. First hit speed nerf is always really noticeable because sometimes you play a card and your only aim is for it to get that one hit off.
Yeah.
Like if a Hunter, you just want it to pop and do 1,000 damage to whatever's right in its face. But sometimes if it's hitting too long, especially with Royal Giant, like if it needs to get through a building, that 0.2 seconds could mean the difference between a hit on tower, killing the building, anything.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
I agree. I think it's gonna take a step down, but like a step down for it from now is into viability and healthy viability. So I think it'll be okay.
Okay, what about goblins? Goblins will now spawn with some distance between each other. To me, this is pretty similar to the Tombstone, where I feel like goblins need a little bit extra, right? Especially with all these value 2 elixir card and 1 elixir cards now in the game, Fire Spirits and what was the other one there? Bomber. I feel like there's better options, even if you want to go with goblins. Spirit goblins, at least they can target air. Goblin gang still useful as well. Am I wrong here, guys? Does this change anything with goblins?
I gotta be very honest with you. I have not noticed much of a difference. I don't think I
Yeah.
noticed any difference at all with them.
Do you even play, be real? Did you even play the goblins?
I don't think I've played goblins. I haven't seen goblins in a battle yet so far. I just walked into class right now doing a trainer battle, and I don't even notice any difference with the goblins the way they spawn. So
I almost feel like they forgot something there. You know,
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
like are they should they put that in there? It looks the same.
One of the reasons that they've been so bad is because if you try and surround them like a royal ghost, like you would with skeletons, well, they're gonna all get popped in the face. So if you can surround like royal ghost, maybe even a charging dark prince with them, they should see some level of they are skeletons that do damage. What you can change other than this, since they're tied to the Goblin Barrel and the Goblin Gang, which would have massive effects if those cards were changed because of the Stab Goblins being changed, So I think this is about all you can do, and if it surrounds Ghost and Dark Prince, you have a small chance of it being good. Otherwise, not. It's just not even. That's not even a useful change.
Yeah, I think they need to spawn further apart because I'm in the game right now and I can't notice any difference.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Like, even if you could surround, which they say they can now surround in the patch notes, but man, you've got to have some balls to surround a Dark Prince with gobos, you know? Like, I'm not trying that one. All right. Be like, oh, I got the perfect counter in. Dead.
It's one of those plays that, like, if you fail, it's just like, oh, that's it. Logging up the game right now.
Yeah, imagine doing that in, like, CRL. Be like, the pro, he's using goblins to counter a Dark Prince. It didn't work out.
Oh.
All right. Giant Snowball. Pushback, you know, additional pushback. I feel like Snowball's a great card. What about you guys?
Yeah, it was strong before. I think they just reverse what they did previously, because like Snowball was OP like earlier this year, or I think, and then they nerfed the knockback radius, and then they buffed it again. So if it was OP before,
I'm not sure if it's the same exact one or not, but either way, I feel like it was already kind of like the Royal Delivery. I feel like both cards, like they nerfed, but they're still like pretty solid, if not meta. But now I feel like it's even more solid. You know,
I think it's gonna be really good for sure.
Yeah,
I see it everywhere too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused by this change because I'm pretty sure the Snowball was healthy, like pretty healthy, like solidly average, very good choice, like a secondary spell if you needed it. That knockback is really, really versatile, especially in synergy with like the Ram Rider and all that. I like you can fully counter Goblin Barrel with it. It's a little bit more of a cop-out for Snowball decks, which usually aren't very good against log bait, which is really good in my opinion. I'm just kind of confused by the change, though, otherwise. I think its knockback was in a good spot, and it was itself in a good spot. So we'll have to see if this is a little bit kind of oppressive, because slowing down and knockback could be too much.
All right. Well, we'll wait and see on that one. But yeah, I think that Poison and Snowball I'm seeing everywhere, even guards. Yeah. Goblin Drill I am not seeing everywhere right now. -1 spawned Goblin when destroyed. I feel like they went a little bit heavy-handed here. How about you guys?
Yeah, it doesn't feel nearly as strong as it was. However, with that being said, I have lost to Goblin Drill decks on ladder after the balance update, so it is not dead, but it's basically dead. Like, it's on life support right now. You do notice a big difference though with the Goblin Drill. Like when it pops, you're like, oh wait, there's one Goblin on my tower now instead of being like 5. So you know, it's just it's a big difference.
Yeah, Jax, is any future for this card? I mean, as constituted right now.
Maybe a slight future, but it's probably going to be one of those cards that relies on a secondary win condition to help out now.
Yeah.
Instead of it being its own thing. And honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy it's gone, man. That card, too versatile, allowed like one of my friends, Lucas X Gamer, he made a tweet and he's like, Goblin Drill players panic every time their elixir bar goes over 5 elixir or something because they're playing it so often and it does so much work and gets so much value. I just agree with that.
I agree with you guys. I actually agree. I think that they went a little bit heavy-handed, but it's nice to have no drills every single match she plays.
It could just be dead for a few months and we'll be
able
to
I agree.
And also, like, there's also a break from like seeing Valkyrie in every other deck, and like she's still popular, she's still good, but Bomber, Valkyrie, Dark Prince in every deck because those are the counters. So it's nice. It feels fresh, you know. What about Royal Hogs, guys? Damage plus 6% is pretty significant when you talk about, you know, 5 pigs here. How do you guys feel about it?
I think they're broken.
I agree. I think they're going to be the #1 card this meta. Like what we're all saying for Goblin Drill for the last meta, we'll be saying for the Royal Hogs this next meta because their damage is insane. Yeah, they're going to be busted.
100% agree.
Like all the decks we're seeing right now, like every single deck in the meta right now, it's like all Royal Hogs. I don't know if that's just the flavor of the month. Everyone's kind of jumping on the hype train, but I don't know. They just feel OP. With that being said, though, I feel like it does make the meta a bit more like RPS, like rock paper scissors, because like I use that Royal Hog deck and I'm like, oh man, this is busted, and then all of a sudden I face Bomb Tower and I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm facing Bomb Tower, Baby Dragon, Ice Wizard, Graveyard deck. I'm like, I can't break through. The piggies just die too quickly. So now I feel like it's a bit more matchup based because the Royal Hogs, like if you're running a splash heavy deck, you do well. If you're not, then you get destroyed.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's weird. They touched a lot of cards, They didn't touch many win conditions like Royal Giant and Electro Giant, but not huge nerfs or buffs to those cards. They did touch Goblin Drill, obviously, and then Royal Hog sees a buff, but I'm trying to think of like what if Royal Hogs are as broken as we think they're going to be. Does that mean Mega Knight meta for like top ladder as well as mid ladder, which we know is infested everywhere? Is this Mega Knight's time in the sun here?
I don't know, but I can at least tell you the Royal Hog's counters are counters. Unlike the Goblin Drill, where it boosted all of its counters up to 33% use rates and still was really, really, really good, you will see like Bomb Tower, Mega Knight, Valkyrie Log, all of that countering the Royal Hog's nice and easy if you need it. And I think it's just Rock, Paper, Scissors is a bit better position than we were with Goblin Drill last season. So I'll take it, but I'm probably still going to be annoyed by them.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it tough. Like, I use a Royal Hog deck, and all of a sudden all I face is Bomb Tower. Like, if it's a deck that's like Bomb Tower, Mega Knight, and Valkyrie all in one deck together. And I'm like, geez, like, I can't catch a break over here.
Yeah.
The Hogs die so quickly.
That's why this is great as a secondary win condition, or as, you know, one of two win conditions too. So you can kind of move around that. Final question for you guys is, what do you see as maybe an archetype that you feel like got better after these balance changes in general?
I would say Graveyard.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, so we talked a lot about Graveyards, so I'll keep it. But I feel like Beatdown because of Night Witch got a little bit worse, and I feel like also maybe Three Muskies got a little bit better because now they can add Hunter as another Fireball or Spell Bait card, and they can add Royal Hogs again. You know, so I feel like maybe we'll see
better. I think too is maybe this might sound stupid, but Elixir Golem. Because if everyone is running poison, it kind of opens the door a bit for more Eagle and Heal Spirit decks because they can heal through that poison. Whereas in a Fireball dominated meta, it would just destroy everything before it could heal. So I think with poison being back, you might see a bit more Elixir Golem decks, but that might be offset by Bomb Towers and Valkyries.
Bomb Towers, yeah. All right, well, hey guys, thank you so much for coming on, talking some Clash Royale.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a long video because there was so many balance changes. I really, really, really can't wait for them to go back to monthly. I'm joking. I don't think they're ever going to do that, but I'll keep saying it, right? Because doesn't this feel like nice and fresh? You know?
Yes, it does. It feels so good. It
really does.
I'm really happy with how nuanced everything is. It seems like every card is going to have some sort of counters, and they actually balance. They didn't kill or overbuff. They balance this time.
Is it safe to say that this is, one of their best balance changes of all time? Is that too much of
a long time for sure?
Yeah.
I think this is one of the best received by the community balances in a while. Like, it just seems everyone's fairly happy with this balance update.
Yeah, I totally agree. So hats off to the balance guru over at I don't know if we're allowed to say his name, so I won't, but hats off. And hats off to you guys for joining me on the channel. Big shout out to Jax and to Clash with Shane. All of their Twitter information, their player stats and profiles at statsroyale.com. Anything I can get, their YouTubes, anything I can scrounge up for these guys will be in the show notes below. Guys, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Thanks for having us.
No problem, guys. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. Big shout out to GFUEL, where you can get 10% off. Use my code ASH. That's also linked in the show notes below. Big shout out to Bren Chong as well. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.